John Beverly, the Candyman, the businessman with a conscience, on LICMC.net radio every Saturday at 3 p.m.
Hello, everyone. This is John Beverly, the businessman with a conscience, here at the Alkebulan village, where each one reach one, each one teach one. One brick, one building, one block at a time. And as we often say, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And we show that we care about the things that we do. And I just want to greet and everyone with the greetings of the holiday spirit. I hope everyone have a happy, pleasant holiday. We just got over Halloween, and I only had, unfortunately, however you want to look at it, I was kind of expecting a few kids to come out, but I understand with the trunk or treats and things, and I can appreciate the fact that the churches and the police departments and different organizations is taking the time out and help meeting the need for our kids for this holiday and making sure that they're safe and make sure that they're not being harmed and being put in harm's way. Yesterday, I was kind of looking for a few, but like I say, I can appreciate the fact the way that things did work out. I had two people that come in, and one was a lady which was about 50 some years old, and another one was a young man which was about 40 some years old. It kind of tickled me, but we just have to be there and just let people know we care, and rather they 5, 6, 7, 11, 12, or 15 or 16, however old they are, it's just good to be able to do something for someone. And like I say, I'm asking that each and every one of you take the time out and pay attention to your surroundings these holidays, because things are getting rougher and rougher. The food stamps, the government is cutting off a lot of stuff and a lot of people. So, and we know that we're in a situation now where things is not like it used to be. So let's take the time out and be a little more conscious in managing what we do have. Let's not dismanage or mismanage. Buy what you need. And I was at a restaurant, and it was all you could eat restaurant. But what I did realize that they had a sign say, "Take all you want, but make sure you eat all that you take." And what that was saying is, let's not be wasteful. And I noticed that they don't, like some places, when you first go in, they would bill you and give you a bill, and you just, go ahead and do your little thing. But I noticed this restaurant in particular, what they do, they monitor you, and they watch how much you take, they watch how much you eat, and if you waste a lot of stuff, they bill you for even wasting. And which makes a little sense if once you become aware that and this can be, if you look at it a certain way, it could be what I would call a training section where they would, teach you how that you don't. I always tell people, and that means people, things, or whatever, you are to use them, not misuse tools. You are to use tools to do what they are supposed to, is meant to be used for, not hitting somebody across the head or throwing and doing all sorts of different things. And food, they say take all you want, but make sure you eat all you want. So you doing what you're supposed to do. You taking what you want, and then you eating what you want. Take it. The food is not going anywhere. I've seen where people just pile their plates up. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about nobody in particular, and I'm not knocking anyone. But if you get that pile of plate, I mean, it's okay if you're gonna eat it. But I've also seen where people will take a pile of food and just, big old plate and just tickled to death because they was able to get all of that. And then when they sit down, they eat two, three pieces and then slide it over and go get some more. Well, to me, that's wasting. And even at home, I don't like to waste anything. I don't like to waste when I go out. I try to make sure I practice what they're teaching and what they're asking the people to do. I believe in getting my money's worth, but you don't have to throw away your money's worth. Eat and enjoy, eat as much as you want because they charging you for it, but don't throw it away. There's so many people that just don't have. You look all over the world and you see all of these different countries where the people don't have, and here we are just took it to death because we can get a plate of food and eat what we want and throw the rest away. But moving right along, just give me a little something to think about. And when we out there doing our shopping, whether it's grocery shopping, whether it's Thanksgiving shopping, whether it's Christmas shopping, let's be careful. Look around. When you get in your car and you pull off and you get to the grocery store, the shopping center, the mall, or wherever, make sure your doors is locked when you pull up, when you put the car in park, make sure it's locked. Look around, check out your surroundings and make sure that, there's no one out there lurking and, waiting on you. And, it's always have been a habit of mine, not just during the holiday season, but it's just a good practice to try to be conscious and aware of your surroundings. When you go somewhere, I always look around and make sure that there's no one around me. I get out the car, and once I get out, I don't just jump out and close the door. I get out and I still look around to make sure that I'm okay. Because if need be, I jump back in that car. Ain't no hero or no Mister Big and all that kind of stuff. I know when to hold and when to fold, and you never know what people have. They may have anything, a knife, a gun, or anything to, if they catch you off guard and take advantage of you. But if you can see somebody, you can watch them, and and even if you don't have to act like you're all scared and stuff. Just take your time, casually get back in the car, close it, the door, make sure it's locked. Fiddle around with the phone or whatever. Crank the car back up like you finna leave, or do whatever you need to do to make sure that you are safe. And then once you go in the store, please be aware because they have pickpockets, they have people that's watching you and doing different things. So make sure you, even if you're shopping and looking at what you're buying, pay attention to your surroundings. Pay attention to the people that's around you. Make sure that there's no one watching you. They're seeing what you're buying, and so people do that. They watch you, and then you get outside, and hey, they waiting on you. So let's be aware. And then most important, as we doing the shopping and stuff, we want to try to get these little deals and things. But you know, think about what you're buying. Don't just get caught up in the holiday because it's really about loving one another, being there for one another. My wife and I, I ask her sometimes, anything in particular you want, and I thank God for it. But she's so sweet. She never just wanted anything in particular. And every now and then she do, and when she do, I try to do my best to get it for her. And if it's something in particular that she wants, she actually, can we afford it? I said, babe, whatever. I mean, if that's what you want, because you're not the type that always wanting something. So sometimes, you might want to make a sacrifice and do something nice for your wife or for your husband. We it's expected in a lot of sense that men is always, buying flowers and giving gifts and things. But we kind of like a little surprise, a little gift for something every now and then. We like to know that we're being thought about as well. So when somebody think enough of us, and I'm always talking and teaching and preaching or whatever you want to call it, let people know that you appreciate them. I was in the Village Kitchen earlier, and I was talking with Brittany, our pizza partner, and we were just talking about doing things and how people are there for one another and being appreciative. And I told her, I said, I appreciate y'all just being here and doing what you do and reaching out and meeting the needs of others and supporting. doing all the different things that you do. And she said, well, Barbara, we appreciate you too. And I said, it's a habit of mine. I always try to tell people, I try to encourage others to reach out and just let somebody know. Reach out, let your wife know how much you appreciate them. Let your kids know how much you appreciate them. You'd be surprised sometimes. That kid just dad appreciate me. It makes them want to do a little extra sometimes. And I was telling her, sometimes, when we doing things for each other, and like I say, even me, when my kids say, "Thanks, Dad, I appreciate you." It makes me, because we Beverly's, and we love hard. We love hard on one another. When we have death in the family, we are there to support one another and just meet the need and do whatever we need to do to make sure that the family members is okay. Rather it's a birthday party, or anniversary, or whatever. We just support. And a couple of weeks ago, my brother-in-law, which we call them brother-in-laws, but we actually practice family. So right, if it's a sister or a man, we just, as far as we're concerned, that's our sister, that's our brother. And my brother out in, they stay in Ypsilanti, and they had a birthday party for him. So we made sure, my wife and I said, we going there. Of course we going if we're able to, because we just want to support them and let them know that we appreciate them and let them know that we're thinking about them as well. And I'm kind of reminded of a story that a preacher told that his about his son and his friends. And unfortunately, they was a little less fortunate than others. But Dad was in there. I don't know if I'm telling this story right, but it went something similar to this. His I'm sorry, we had a few little problem there. Somebody was trying to get in, come in on me. But as I was saying, the little kids, they didn't have no money, but all of them wanted some ice cream. And then the little kid that stayed there where they was playing at, he began to talk about his father. He said, he said, I'm gonna go inside and ask my daddy, could he buy all of us? He's my daddy would buy all of us ice cream. He said, my daddy, he's so good. My dad does this and he does that and he works and he makes sure that everybody's all right and he takes care of us. My daddy do anything for us because my daddy love us and he just want to make us happy. He do all he can. And the father was sitting there, like I say, a little less fortunate, was trying to count his little money then, trying to make ends meet. But as he heard his son down there bragging on him, talking about what all his father do and how good his dad is and how much he love him, he said when he come in there and said, Dad, he said, could you buy us some ice cream from the ice cream truck? And in spite of the condition that Dad was in and the money that he had and what he had to do with, the story went like Daddy made a sacrifice. He said, sure, son. He said, come on, and gathered up all the kids and took them outside and bought them all ice cream. So what I'm just saying, that When you show people that you appreciate them, whether it's mom, dad, or whoever, when you show them and let them know how much you appreciate them, don't you know they wouldn't mind doing anything for you if they can afford to, if it don't knock them too far off their square. But you do have to be wise, and I'm pretty sure if they had made that kind of a decision, he probably saw where down the road or somewhere before he needed to do what he needed to do that he was going to be able to do it. But in the meantime, just because that son was talking about how much he loved his dad, how much he appreciated his dad, how much dad was always there to meet the need, dad showed up and showed out. So just remember to be careful, pay attention to your surroundings, and be careful how you're spending your money. Manage it well. I thank you for listening to John Beverly, the businessman with a conscience, here at the Alkebulan village, where each one reach one, each one teach one brick, one building, one block at a time. And as we often say, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And we show that we care about the things that we do. And I appreciate the ones that take the time out to listen to the few words that I have to say. And I always pray, Lord, keep me humble. Have a great day.
John Beverly, the Candyman, the businessman with a conscience, on LICMC.net radio every Saturday at 3 p.m.